NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. The first of 23 races that will lead us to a champion. Let's take a look at our Camping World track description. It's special, isn't it, Mike?
Oh, it's the best asphalt in the world. 2.5 miles. The bank turns at 31 degrees. The tri-oval's tricky. It's hard to get through there. It's banked at only 18. You come off those big banks. You got a corner on the front straightaway with the tri-oval. It gets loose there. You can see the length of the straightaways. The best racetrack in the world.
Camping World race analysis, Phil.
Yeah, for the first time ever, we're going to have 3 stages, lap 20, lap 40, and at the end of the race, you see the race full length is 100 laps, 250 miles. No more caution clock. That's gone. Last year's winner, Johnny Sauter, his second win here at Daytona.
Starting from pole tonight will be Kaz Gralla. What a great qualifying effort it was from GMS earlier today. The top 3 spots, Kaz Gralla and Johnny Sauter on the front row, and then Spencer Gallagher in row 2, all from GMS.
How about Kaz taking the outside? That means he's going to have not one of his friends behind him. He's going to have Christopher Bell behind him, not his teammate.
I think this is scripted. Watch for Gralla to dive to the bottom as soon as they cross the start-finish line and line all those GMS trucks up. And that could be Corbin Forrester, Joe Nemechek, Grant Enfingers. That could be their worst nightmare. You get those GMS trucks up front, they're going to be hard to pass.
There's Myatt Snyder making his first start at Daytona back in row number 7.
And Chase Briscoe, Austin Cindric, the 2 drivers for Brad Keselowski Racing. And Mike, see if you can reach the 29 there, and Chase Briscoe.
Hey, Chase, it's Michael Waltrip up in the FS1 booth. Do you copy, friend?
You're all static right there.
Oh, it's because I was talking. Let's let them figure that out. Hey, Chase, Michael Waltrip up in the FS1 booth. Do you copy?
Loud and clear.
Right on. You have a season of ARCA under your belt. That's about all the asphalt racing you've done. You took ARCA by storm last year. What are you looking for starting your first truck race tonight?
Well, hopefully we can carry on that success, but overall just super thankful for everybody at Brad Keselowski Racing and Ford Performance, Cooper Standard, for just giving me this opportunity. You know, never really thought I would ever be in this position. It's definitely humbling to be here in one of NASCAR's top 3 series at Daytona.
Well, we look forward to following and watching you this year. I'm sure Brad's giving you a lot of insight and what to expect here tonight.
Yeah, you know, Brad's one of the best around this place. Hopefully we can do him proud here tonight and get one of these blue trucks in victory lane.
All right, buddy. Thanks for talking with us. Have a good night.
Thank you.
We're getting ready to wave the green and go racing. We're going to do it when we come back to Daytona. What a great shot from the Goodyear blimp. Getting ready to go racing here at Daytona to open up the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series season. And we've got some great camera angles, including some from on board these trucks.
Yeah, Austin Cindric's going to give us a ride on that Ford onboard camera. He's got a couple K&N wins last year. First time starting here at Daytona. He will start his Ford from the 18th spot.
We don't mess around, Vince. We can come at you from the sky and we can go right inside the truck. Let's hop on the Florida DOT cam with Scott Lagacy Jr. He's 36-year-old from St. Augustine, Florida. 3rd here in 2015 and 2 ARCA wins. He knows how to get it done. He's going to roll off from the 14th starting spot.
Guys, if you want a favorite here, look no farther than Timothy Peters. He's won here. He's won at Talladega. He's in the Red Horse Toyota, and he will start from the 5th spot.
22-year-old Christopher Bell from Norman, Oklahoma is going to start 4th. He finished this race a year ago on his roof, flipping into turn 1. He finished the year last year as a part of our championship 4. A lot of maturity, a lot of progression throughout the 2016 season. Look for this kid to be a real championship contender this year.
Well, the pace truck bringing them by one more time. 1 to go gives us time to go downstairs and get a final word pre-race with Hermie Sadler.
Well, Vince, Matt Crafton is a 2-time series champion. He's won 13 races. But what is the race that has frustrated this team the most? It's right here at Daytona. Only 1 top 5 finish in 16 starts. How do they plan to reverse this trend at Daytona? Well, Crew Chief Junior Joyner told me this weekend they went to work big time on their super speedway truck. They carried it to the wind tunnel for the first time in years. They put a lot of time, effort into this truck. They know they need to get off to a better start here at Daytona. It paid off with a 7th place qualifying effort. They hope it'll translate to them going to victory lane. Caitlin?
Well, Hermie, Ryan Truex is racing full-time this season for Hattori Racing Enterprises. He told me he's very excited about the year ahead because it is the first full-time ride he has been able to secure in NASCAR's National Series. So very pumped up about the year ahead. He also has a lot of familiar faces working with him on the team, mechanics from his K&N days, his old crew chief in the K&N Series, a team manager at Hattori. Those people will certainly help him. But in terms of getting a win tonight, he came close last year. He got second at Daytona. He's going to have some work to do this evening. He starts 20th for tonight's event. Vince?
No shortage of challenges tonight for all 32 of these teams. Here's the 27 of driver Ben Rhodes.
Well, thank you guys for all the hard work. I appreciate all the hours that we put on over this thing over the off season, all the hours that we've been doing here, and for the brush to get us out on pit road. Thanks for being here tonight for me, Chris. I'm looking forward to a good season. Thank you all.
Aerial coverage tonight provided by Goodyear. Superior performing tires to face challenging conditions on the track and on the road. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR.
Goodyear's brought a very good tire here to Daytona. Not a lot of wear. Could see some strategy around these stages, Phil. Maybe a couple of tires, maybe just gas and go to keep that track position.
I think, guys, we're just a few hundred yards away from the start of this race. I think you better buckle up here.
As we've discussed, be rather aggressive with telling me what you're seeing and what you'd like me to do, and maybe by the end I'll be able to do some stuff on my own. Okay.
There you have it. The first move he's going to make, I think, is the crossover here, Phil. When the green flag flies, he'll go to the inside. Just needs to make sure as a rookie he doesn't do it too soon. You can't cross over into that other lane until you pass the start-finish line.
Teammates on the front row. That's Johnny Sauter on the inside, and the pole winner, Kaz Gralla, the youngest driver in the field, just over 18 years old, on the outside. The green waves. The season is underway. Racing at Daytona.
Whoa, he brought Christopher Bell with him. Gralla got such a good start. Bell followed right along and dove in behind him. I talked about how hard it's going to be to bust up them GMS trucks. Christopher Bell said, I got this.
Got another GMS truck lined up behind Johnny Sauter. That's Spencer Gallagher.
Single file, 1, 2, 3, and then 2 wide, deep into the pack.
We got everybody jockeying for the inside of the racetrack. Remember, you talked about it, Michael. Hug that yellow line. Let's stay there.
And you got to be, even though we're talking stage racing, you can't force it, Phil. If you're back 8th or 10th on that bottom line, there just isn't anything to gain from jumping up to the outside this early in the going. So while you see that middle lane making some progress, if you want to duck out, say you're about where Timothy Peters is right now. You want to be a part of that closing outside lane?
Oh! Contact and into the wall.
Hang on to it here, man. Hold the brake.
Oh, the 19 of Austin Cindric hard into the wall.
Looked like Chase Briscoe got into the back of the 18 of Noah Gragson.
Wow.
A lot of damage.
We also talked stage racing.
Youth versus experience.
We talked everything that could lead to us seeing the biggest crash fest we've ever seen with these young, inexperienced racers pushing too hard too soon.
What a disappointment, that 18 there of Noah Gragson. There's the 29 of Chase Briscoe and the 98 of Grant Enfinger. They weren't involved, it doesn't seem, but the 19 of Austin Cindric, heavy damage to the front end of his Ford.
Yeah, that's the problem though with this situation here. We've got young drivers like Austin Cindric, Noah Gragson. They don't have any time to learn anything here. They're going to be out here on the second lap of this race, and they have such an opportunity to learn here, and they're not going to be able to do it. See the 66 of Ross Chastain, the 16 of Ryan Truex Jr. Look at John Hunter Nemechek, one of our pre-race favorites, with a lot of damage.
I thought I saw his father Joe sliding toward the infield too, but maybe not.
Stuart Friesen in the 52, also Clay Greenfield in the 68.
Check out right here that's the area in which it looks like this accident starts. Right there, just an awkward push from the 29 truck of Briscoe into Gragson, and these guys scatter from there.
The track gets blocked.
You hit that grass over there, it tears the nose off the truck. Look at that wreck. They're still wrecking late into it.
Down in the grass.
At that point, it becomes like a spider web just catching trucks.
Look, it was just a situation where it looked like Gregson went up, and Briscoe was on him, and they made contact.
Yeah, the 7 of Brett Moffitt had that outside line. It was a little bit seized up there, so we talk about how the fact you can't hardly see through these trucks very well. He was slow and looked like Chase just got in the back of nowhere just a little bit.
Or did he?
But it doesn't take much. All it takes is the slightest bit of contact.
It looked like Gregson maybe was just trying to maneuver in behind the truck ahead of him and could have gotten loose.
Clay Greenfield with the best opportunity to have a great run here. He's in this.
It has every sign that he hit him, but that one angle, Phil, it didn't look like he was up on him when the truck started weaving.
Hard hit for Austin Cindric, that 19 truck into the outside safer barrier. Let's ride along with Austin Cindric, see what he saw here.
Right. Right in front of Chase. Chase is on the 18, one in front of you. Easy up. Go low. Back it down, back it down.
Just needed a couple of feet, Phil, and he's through on the inside.
Yeah.
How about this time from the 24 of Scott Lagasse Jr.? Watch it.
Inside only. Get on their door inside. Inside only. You have more help coming here. Go on. Check up. Stay at the top. Hurry up. Watch the silver grab. Get on the brake. Clear down.
He could have escaped without any damage, Phil.
Yeah,
just
very
sort of
minor contact there, it looked like.
Slid through.
Right in the middle of it all was that 29 truck of Chase Briscoe.
Terry Jones with some damage after such a great weekend last weekend in the ARCA Racing Series event.
Let that one aside and clear you there. How's your truck? You good?
I mean, I'm sucking up fine. I didn't think I'd really do anything to him. I was just trying to get him going right there.
Sounds like there was some contact, Phil.
Yeah, he was trying to help him.
Get him going.
Yeah, it wasn't a situation where he was trying to do anything wrong. He was just trying to help get him going a little bit. That outside line has lost a little pace from the inside line. Remember now, we have new rules here. You're only allowed to spend 5 minutes on repairs, and that's cumulative from the time you enter pit road till the time you exit pit road. And if you work on it and you go on a racetrack, come back in, that time will add together until you can get out there and run, at least maintain minimum speed. The clock is on.
And NASCAR did this to save the team's money. They spent a tremendous amount of money with a crash cart to repair damaged vehicles. And most all the times, Phil, they've studied this, you rarely pick up a position. So this is basically an exercise in futility anyway. NASCAR said we're going to put a stop to that.
This 30 truck here of Jones, Terry Jones, who finished second in the ARCA race. It had really been a pretty good week down in Daytona for Jones. Certainly not the case now as the way this has started, but he's been on the clock just about 3 minutes.
Well, and when he leaves, if he comes back on, he's going to be out of the race. But what he can do is stay on the track if they get it fixed good enough and he can maintain minimum speed. Then when the next caution flag comes out, they can tune on it more. But for this caution, he only has those 5 minutes, and it looks like he's got it patched up good enough to where he's going to be able to continue.
I think so also.
And at Daytona, with a truck damage like that, he can run up front.
How about the damage on that 8 truck of John Hunter Nemechek, Caitlin?
Yeah, Vince, they've been doing a lot of work to a bare bond to hold those quarter panels together. The crew chief, Jerry Kennan, saying check that right front as well for clearance. The spotter saying, I didn't see any smoke in turns 3 and 4. I think you're good. But John Hunter calmly reminding his team, make sure we do not get a time penalty with that time restraint that is now on these pit crews for repairs.
Yeah, you've got to watch that closely, because you have to remember, Phil, it'll take you 30 seconds or so to get from that pit where John Hunter is, maybe 20 seconds down to the end of pit road. So they have to factor all that in.
And these teams really won't have a good feel for that. All they're trying to do right now is make repairs. They won't really know how much time they've spent on pit road at this point.
About a dozen trucks involved in that first lap melee, and it has taken out or at least done damage to some very good machines, including this one, the 13 of Cody Coughlin. Remember, you can't put new parts and pieces on those trucks. Just tape them up and hope for the best. Coming back to Daytona. Welcome back to Daytona, the season opener for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. accident involving about 12 vehicles. First lap, some heavy damage to some. A little less crinkled up for others, but here are some of those that were involved and are on the 5-minute clock in regards to repairing their vehicle. Remember, you've got 5 minutes to repair your vehicle and get back out up to a minimum speed, or up to the competitive minimum speed.
And it looks like maybe we saw the 22 of J.J. Yaley on and off pit road, but his time, I think, has expired. But I know Terry Jones's has. He left pit road and his clock was past 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I know there's going to be some learning and growing pains with this. We're trying to keep up with it by hand. Terry Jones, by my clock, left pit road at 5:30. 5 minutes and 30 seconds. So it'd be interesting to see if he gets called to the garage.
Well, something just came off the 0-2 of Tyler Young. You see that looks like
that's a break
something
duck,
wrapped in tape there on laying on the track.
But he had some other issues. Look how that truck is tracking there. So he's got trailing arms bent, rear end housing.
And this is exactly why this rule was put into effect. So cars or trucks that are damaged in this severe manner don't get back on the track and have parts and pieces falling off their vehicle that could maybe hit other vehicles or go into the stands, right?
That's exactly right.
Caitlin?
Well, Noah Gregson, one of the drivers involved in that big incident just moments ago. What happened from your perspective, Noah?
I was running probably around 7th or 8th at the time on the outside, and just got popped from behind. It felt like going through 1 and 2. Yeah, the 29 got me. He hit me and got me sideways, and then tried not getting into the 27 in front of me, but just not our night tonight, I guess. I was happy with our switch Tundra. It's a bummer, but we're going to move on to Atlanta. I had a good time out there for the lap I got, but I'm just very thankful to be here racing at Daytona, racing in the Truck Series. There's always next week. Just going to keep on digging, no bad days, and just really appreciate everyone who's made this possible.
We're glad you're all right. They'll go on to next week, guys.
That's 18-year-old Noah Gregson. Driving for Kyle Busch Motorsports.
Great attitude for the young man to have. We were talking about Terry Jones and his clock. He was past 5 minutes and 20 seconds by our count, and NASCAR agrees with that, and he will have to now go out of the race.
Yeah, essentially he's out of the race now, even though I'm sure he's getting word now that when he gets back around here to bring that truck in, he spent more than his allotted time on pit road. Now, he had quite a bit of damage to that truck, and he had to make some repairs, but I'm not sure that, again, it's new. You talked about it, Michael, and I'm not sure that the pit crews are aware of the timing, and I don't know if that time is available for them, you know, real time on their pit box or not.
Kaz Gralla will lead the field back to green when we return to Daytona. After the accident, 8 trucks are off the track. A big one already collected in lap 1. Let's go downstairs, check in with Caitlin.
And one of those 8 trucks is Ryan Truex, visibly frustrated down here, wanting to see a replay of what happened. Can you walk me through what happened from your perspective?
I saw smoke. I'll tell you here in a second. Someone got impatient, I'm guessing. I'm not really sure. Yeah. I saw smoke. I lifted. I got hit right there. Then I got hit again here, right there. And I got hit a few more times once I went in the grass and just killed it. So wrong place, wrong time, I guess. It all boils back to not qualifying well, I guess, which is just practice. We hit debris and we got no laps, so we didn't know what we had. So you can see there my back tires were off the ground. So it's just, I don't know why we're racing this hard on lap 4. There, I got hit again. So it was a hard hit, and the truck's killed. So we'll rebuild it and go to Talladega with it.
Thank you.
A lot of frustration down there in that garage area.
Ryan Truex, he finished 2nd in this race last year. I mean, he was a guy coming in, thought they had a chance of winning this race. John Hunter Nemechek, another one. You know, significant damage to their vehicle.
And that finish, that 2nd place finish, that catapulted him into some extra rides and eventually into a full-time season this year. So that's how frustrating Daytona can be. You do well and you're rewarded with many more races, and then on lap 1 you're out. Hermie, what's happening down there?
You guys heard Ryan Truex mention maybe a bad qualifying effort contributed to him being in that accident. Kaz Gralla qualified up front, He is out front of all that carnage, but they all working on communication between he, crew chief Jerry Baxter, and spotter Eddie DeHaan.
Yeah, 10-4, I never talked to you guys about this, but anytime pit road's open all year, give me a definitive staying out or coming in.
Yeah, we'll always tell you. I'm always going to say when it's open, even though I know we're staying out. That's my job. And then Jerry will overtake whatever we're going to do.
10-4.
Great combination. Inexperienced driver, but Jerry Baxter, a lot of experience on the pit box. Eddie DeHaan, a very experienced spotter. In fact, guided Chase Elliott to a win here early this week in the duel.
Yeah, it's interesting. Thank you, Hermie. Jerry Baxter last year was the crew chief for the 4 truck of Christopher Bell. Now he's the crew chief for the 33 of Kaz Gralla, and they're going to restart right next to one another. There's a good look at the veteran crew chief, Jerry Baxter.
And what Eddie DeHaan was saying, the spotter, he's like, I'm going to say the pit road's open. It's Jerry's job to say whether you come or not.
Halfway through stage 1, remember the first stage, 20 laps. And at the end of those 20 laps, the top 10 will receive points. A playoff point will be awarded as well. But right now, it's time to go back racing green again at Daytona.
Yeah, let's settle down and run some laps here.
Well, I wouldn't bet on it, Phil. I told you in the opening it's going to be crazy from the first lap. I didn't know literally the first lap, but these guys already piled it up. See if they can sort it out here and run to lap 20. Good run by Bell on the outside. He's able to stay side by side with Gralla.
Has a GMS truck behind him, Spencer Gallagher.
And I just tell you, we talked about the youth versus experience, but these trucks are hard to handle. Look at them bouncing around right there. They're just nervous. And these young guys don't understand how nervous they can be.
So Scott Lagacy, that yellow and black truck, jump out of the line. I think he wanted to get to the tail end of this line because he had some damage from that incident. But his truck may not be exactly right now.
So many vehicles in the draft, but remember, you can bump, but you can't lock those bumpers and just push the truck in front of you.
Yeah, sometimes the bumping doesn't work all that well either.
Yeah, just asked Noah Gregson. Chase Briscoe just, like he said, just trying to help him along. Ooh, look at, that was Briscoe getting loose back there.
Kaz Gralla, the leader, his first laps led in NASCAR. The youngest driver in the field, won the pole earlier this afternoon, and now he's leading the season opener. His teammate Johnny Sauter right behind him.
Vince, we talked about the youth versus the veterans. There's Kaz Gralla with the lead. Lined up right behind him, 3 of our solid veterans in Sauter, Peters, and Crafton.
On board with Christopher Bell, there's the 17 of Timothy Peters, former winner here.
Matt Crafton right behind him in that yellow 88 truck.
Spencer Gallagher, a good push on the back of Bell. You can push without hitting the guy. You know, you just get close enough to him, the air pushes him ahead.
It's almost like there's a boundary layer of air in between you.
But is there a place you don't want to push the guy in front of you?
Anywhere not done properly will cause a crash. It doesn't matter where you do it at. You can be going straight down the back straightaway, hit a guy wrong, and turn him. We've seen it over and over. Look at this push that Gallagher gave to Bell all the way to the lead.
Christopher Bell pulling up next to Kaz Gralla, coming into the tri-oval for the lead at Daytona, 13 laps in. One of the drivers who's out is Austin Cindric. He's with Caitlin.
Definitely a hard hit for Austin Cindric. Seems visibly okay. What were you experiencing in the truck there?
A lot of disappointment, to be honest. I think I can't lie to you. I'm definitely disappointed. These BKR guys have worked really hard in the offseason to get us a good piece to come here to Daytona and be able to contend for wins. And in the one lap, I could tell we had a good car to suck up, but that's about all we got. But honestly, I'm really disappointed because we had a lot of partners here. We had a lot of people from Pertec. We had a lot of people from Draw Tight come out and support us, and it's a special thing to be able to experience that. But we go on to Atlanta. We went into the test there, so we got some data. We understand where we're going to start out. So go on there and just run them into the ground and get that 19 out front in victory lane.
Oh! Disappointing finish for Austin Cindric. On to Atlanta, guys.
I'm not all right. Yeah. These guys are just, the trucks
is this the end of the race?
The trucks are squirrely, they're loose,
and they're pushing. They're pushing everywhere.
It's not the end of the race, but it's getting down to the end of stage 1, and at the end of 20 laps, we're going to have reward some points, right?
Not only when we have a stage 1 winner, we're going to have a guy that wins the first stage ever in NASCAR.
We might not have anybody finish, though, guys. These trucks are just out of control.
Look at the pushing that Spencer Gallagher's doing on Christopher Bell. It pushes him to the lead.
Christopher Bell, who made it to the championship 4 last year, finished 3rd overall in the championship standings, is the new leader.
I remember when I was a kid, my dad used to describe a wreck as, well, he zigged and when he should have zagged. And I'm seeing a lot of zigging and zagging right now.
So remember, at the end of stage 1, the driver that's leading the stage will get 10 points, 10 championship points, and 1 playoff point. All the drivers in the top 10 will receive points, championship points, for being in the top 10 at the end of stage 1, which concludes in 3 laps.
You see that 4 truck out front there. That looks a lot like Christopher Bell's truck looked like last year, but that's really the 9 truck wrapped in number 4 truck, because Rudy Fugle was a crew chief for William Byron last year when they won 7 races. Christopher just moved over to that team.
How about Spencer Gallagher going around the outside, taking the high line, putting his nose in front.
Has a push from the 7 of Brett Moffitt. Ben Rhodes.
Pull down now, pull down now, pull down now. There you go.
I don't know if you want to pull down. We saw Bell pass and get the lead. Maybe they start working both lines like we saw Chase Elliott do last night in the duel, and like we see Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano do so well. Maybe that's how you keep the lead here in the trucks.
Well, Ben Rhodes is second in line on the outside, doing some serious pushing on that 7 of Brett Moffitt as we ride along with Timothy Peters.
And now it means something to be in that 10th spot, doesn't it?
That's certainly right. And the first spot as well. That's why it'd be interesting to see when one of our veterans gets to the front, if they're able just to work the line, work the inside and the outside, and hold everybody off.
Spencer Gallagher will buy a nose on that particular lap.
I've never looked forward to lap 20 so hard in my life. These guys are just waiting for an accident to happen.
And when these guys come around this time, they will complete 18 laps. They will close pit road. So you remember in the past how a lot of times the guys would try to pit under green to try to get track position. Right now the pit road will be closed when the leader gets to the start-finish line.
Ben Rhodes in that 27 truck giving the 7 of Brett Moffitt a bump. That's Moffitt in the front.
It's Briscoe third in line. Now you see Moffitt playing around a little bit with trying to block both lines. See if he swings up high here. No one tried to get onto pit road prior to it closing. I don't think they could have made it from the lead pack to pit road.
So. They would have had to pit the lap before, I think, but nobody willing to do that right now. Too much risk there, I think. Plus, you give away an opportunity to gain points in this segment. I'm sorry, the stage.
I just thought maybe if you're running 12th or 13th, maybe with a couple laps to go, you try to get to pit road, gain some track position. We didn't see that happen this stage.
Look at Matt Crafton jump out of that pack.
I don't blame him.
But he's out of the points here with 1 lap to go till the end of this stage.
John Hunter Nemechek looking around like he's trying to get him some positions to grab some points. 1 to go.
1 lap remaining in the opening stage. Stage number 1, Brett Moffitt the leader. Spencer Gallagher, Christopher Bell, and the pole winner Kaz Gralla in the single file line, top 4.
We're going to see a different flag from the flagman here than we've ever seen before. It's going to be green and white as Christopher Bell makes the move on the outside.
That move would have never been made a year ago, Phil. They would have just bided their time, rode in line, nothing to gain at this point a year ago. This is what stage racing is all about. There's 10 points on the line and 1 precious playoff point here for the guy that wins this stage. Oh, and they're going to crash.
Bell and Moffitt contact, and the caution is out. And for the 2nd year in a row, Christopher Bell involved in an accident. Significant damage to the 7 of Moffitt.
I don't think there's a great deal of damage to Christopher Bell's truck, but Brett Moffitt more than likely is terminal.
He's done. Bell for the 2nd year in a row, Vince, all 4 wheels off the ground. That thing caught some air off turn 4.
Heartbreaker for Moffitt as he was running up in the front.
I'm telling you, nobody races any harder than these truckers.
Oh man, that makes me a mess.
remember, Brett Moffitt is on the clock now. He has 5 minutes to make repairs and be able to reach minimum speed back on the racetrack.
This is just bump drafting gone bad.
Watch the 23 of Spencer Gallagher. Like he might have just got into the back end of that 7 truck.
He
just
got out
enough.
he got out to the right side of the bumper, Vince, and I think that's what turned Brett Moffitt around.
Luckily, no more than just a couple involved. You can see right there.
Maybe that's why Matt Crafton dove out of that pack with a couple laps to go.
The veteran who's been in 17 of these, he knows what he's looking at.
Okay, and then the other veteran, Johnny Sauter, he just went ahead and won the stage. So I hear you, Phil, but I haven't seen a pattern yet, brother.
So Johnny Sauter wins stage 1 of the Truck Series season opener at Daytona and gets 10 championship points and a playoff point to go along with it. And there you see the damage on that 4 truck of Christopher Bell.
Yeah, right now Johnny Sauter is showing up as our leader on the monitor, but and we're getting a confirmation from NASCAR that the 21 of Johnny Sauter is stage 1 winner. Right where he left off last year here at Daytona.
So unofficially, let's take a look at our top 10 at the end of stage 1. The drivers that will receive championship points for their stage 1 finish. Led by last year's race winner, Johnny Sauter. Back in front again at Daytona. Wow, excitement and drama already at Daytona. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. A couple of accidents, but we've completed stage 1. And Johnny Sauter was the winner of stage 1, but not without a little drama in the process. As pit lane is open, trucks hit pit road.
Sauter stays out along with Kaz Grolic, Spencer Gallagher. A bunch of our leaders stay out.
Yeah, all the GMS trucks stay on the racetrack, all 4 of them.
And it looks like mostly gas down on pit road. I see Timothy Peters just getting some fuel. They continue to work on the Moffitt truck.
Yeah. They need just a little bit of fuel to get to the end of the next stage.
Regan Smith with just gas in that 92 truck.
Chase Briscoe, the 29, making pit work. There's Matt Crafton leaving his pit.
Crafton with just gas only. Working a bit on this 4 truck of Bell after it left the ground.
Time has expired on the 7 of Brett Moffitt. He was running at the front in that collision just before the end of stage 1. But the 5-minute clock has expired and Brett Moffitt's night is done.
Yeah, I think it's going to expire on the 4 truck here of Christopher Bell as well. By our calculations, he's over the 5-minute mark.
Bell's damage didn't look to be quite as significant, certainly as that of the 7 of Moffitt, but really taking a good hard look underneath that truck because the 4 did get up into the air. The 88 of Matt Crafton has taken a pit road penalty, too fast entering.
You might not see Matt be too upset about that.
Yeah.
Go to the back and hang out, maybe.
Let's see if we can make contact with our stage 1 winner. Hey, Johnny Sauter, Phil Parsons up in the FS1 booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, 10-4, buddy. How's it going?
Well, it's going pretty good up here. I'm not so sure down there. Now, I don't think last year, Johnny, we would have seen a race like that to complete lap 20. Is that what you kind of thought might happen when we got towards the end of that first stage?
I'm a little bit busier than that right now. I haven't been able to give that much thought, but you know, just guys are being aggressive. There's no doubt about it. You can see that, obviously. So our Legion Travel Chevy is running good and handling good. That's what I'm really paying attention to right now. So proud of everybody at GMS for all their hard work.
Yeah, I see all you and your GMS teammates stayed out on this caution for this end of the first stage here. You feel like with enough caution laps, you guys have enough fuel to get to the end of the second stage?
That's what I'm hoping. You know, I think Joe and those guys got that calculated out right now. So if not, we're all committed and we'll all be able to pit for fuel and come back through the field, I hope. But yeah, this will be interesting having all 4 of us here. Who's gonna lead? So this will be fun.
Well, Johnny, you just won the first stage ever in NASCAR, so good job, buddy. Keep it up.
10-4, thank you. Yeah, I didn't think we were going to do that. We were 8th with 1 or 2 laps there before the finish, but it all worked out, and I just want to lead the last stage. That's the one I want to lead.
Well, let's see how it happened, and it all unfolded for Johnny in the process of getting to that first spot, because the 7 of Brett Moffitt and the 4 of Christopher Bell were on the front row, and Sauter was back a ways.
Yeah, Spencer Gallagher looks like pushed into the back of the 7 of Moffitt. He clips
all 4 tires off the ground on Christopher Bell's truck
for the 2nd year in a row.
Gonna go racing when we come back at Daytona. Welcome back to Daytona, getting ready to go green. Let's check in on that 33 radio of Kaz Gralla.
Those bumps from the 21, did they look pretty normal?
Oh, yeah, that's nothing.
Gosh, that was a lot harder than I was expecting.
You ain't seen nothing yet, buddy.
Eddie's right. He hadn't seen nothing yet. Well, we've seen a lot.
Let's learn a little bit about bump drafting on the fly. What do you say?
Johnny Sauter is the lead vehicle on the outside. That's Kaz Gralla on the inside. Stage 2 is underway at Daytona.
Bad start by one of the trucks there. Looks like that's Joe Nemechek there in the black truck. Stack that inside lane up. See everybody changing lines there.
Guys, we already have 11 trucks out of the race here on lap 26.
Matt Crafton steams out to the outside in that 3rd lane.
Look, he's got a little bit of help from that 4 of Christopher Bell. They're passing a lot of trucks out there.
Christopher Bell's already been off the ground once. He said, how much worse could it get, huh?
The 24 of Lagasse goes up to catch the 88 of Crafton.
Certainly stalled his progress anyway.
Maybe get a little energy from Matt Crafton. The 8 of John Hunter Nemechek right there in the middle next to Timothy Peters in that white number 17.
See John Hunter trying to side draft off Timothy Peters to try to stall out his momentum.
Wow, 3 wide. Look at that.
The first 2 times we wrecked Vince, we were only 2 wide.
So what are they thinking?
There's John Hunter Nemechek getting a push from his dad. Help me out, Dad.
Look at it, turn them sideways too.
That's John Hunter in the 8 truck right there in the yellow hood, and his dad Joe in the 87 right behind him.
John Hunter was worried about not having many friends. Well, he's got his dad behind him right now.
And that's a big run they've got there as well.
You see Myatt Snyder is the 51 truck behind him. He doesn't need to push Joe Nemechek because he doesn't realize how close he is to John Hunter.
You can't tell that's the 51 truck of Snyder. He's got tape all down the side of it, but that's who it is. And John Hunter and Joe Nemechek along with Snyder are doing a nice job in that outside lane.
On board with the 4 of Christopher Bell. They tipped the cap to that Kyle Busch Motorsports team that worked on that 4 truck because Bell had some damage after that accident, and they were able to get him back out and competitive again, obviously.
Yeah, looks to have a pretty fast truck right now. He has Corbin Forrester, that 5 truck right behind him. That's the blue truck, the 29 of Chase Briscoe on his outside.
What about if your 19-year-old kid said, "Hey, Dad, you're crazy"? Joe would have to say, "I know it, son. Look at me out here." That's
pushing and shoving and carrying
out. That's a couple of racers right now. Doesn't matter what your age is, you got to get the job done.
How about those GMS trucks are lined up 1, 2.
Encased in green with that S1 next to his name, identifying him as the stage 1 winner.
Oh,
look at
contact
from Joe Nemechek to John Hunter Nemechek and turned him sideways.
I don't know. I think maybe
he got it from the inside.
Yeah, I think maybe the 13 truck of Cody Coughlin maybe got up into him. I don't know.
Take a look at it on the replay.
There was a lot of stuff that was unstable.
There's a bump from, I think it was a bump from his dad, from Joe in the 87.
Looked like they were all trying to wreck, didn't it?
Whoa.
Good save
what a
by
save.
John Hunter.
And that's at 185, 190 miles an hour. Most of these guys just ran their fastest lap of the race this last lap.
And look at John Hunter's truck. Patched up, taped up. Here comes the 22 of J.J. Yaley. He's got tape all over his.
And running up front.
I'm liking NASCAR's damaged vehicle policy. You can fix it and still go.
Christopher Bell, the Ford truck, he had all 4 wheels off the ground.
Had a lap 1 accident. Maybe call it the big one. It involved 12 vehicles. And then coming to the end of stage 1, more contact between Brett Moffitt and Christopher Bell. Moffitt is out of the race because of it. Johnny Sauter continues to lead. In fact, it's GMS 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's a good plan.
Sauter, Gralla, Gallagher, and Lagasse. All 4 trucks out of the GMS stable. They're at the front of the pack. Plenty of racing left in the Camping World Truck Series season opener at Daytona. It's a great night so far for GMS Racing. The top 4 trucks all out of that stable. Johnny Sauter leads the way. Kaz Gralla, Spencer Gallagher, and Scott Lagasse Jr. 1 through 4.
We've had 2 crashes, and all 4 GMS trucks have stayed intact, and the reason being mainly, Phil, is because they're at the front. That's the safest place to be. That's why Matt Crafton's strategy of hanging back, I'm not sure about that right now. We only have 4 laps to go in this second stage. He's going to miss out on some points again, it looks like.
Yeah, that's amazing. Late stage of stage 2 already. Brett Moffitt is out. He's with Caitlin.
Yeah, Vincent, definitely disappointed for him. He told me before the race he's only secured at Daytona Atlanta for a ride right now. So how frustrating is this for you?
It's more disappointing, I guess. We had a really good truck and we raced our way to the front there, and it's just a bummer. I don't know if it was my fault or someone else's. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but we have another really good truck ready for Atlanta, and I'm looking forward to that one.
Thank you.
Remember that great run he had at Michigan and Atlanta. You got to have the same type of driving talents to win at Atlanta as you do at Michigan. So I know that young man's very much looking forward to next Saturday.
On board with Lagasse.
Remember, he had some damage from that first lap incident. You see the little bit of tape up there in the left front corner of that truck, and there he is right up front racing with his teammates running in the 4th spot.
Spencer Gallagher just ahead of him.
3 laps to go to the end of this stage.
Johnny Sauter's eyeing another valuable championship, 10 points and a playoff point too. But we saw what happened coming to the end of the first stage, and you can tell. See how they're jockeying around, Phil? That means there's energy there. There's ability to move around, pull out. Will one of those GMS trucks pull out on the other, or will they stay right in line and take 1 through 4 to this stage?
Oh, John Hunter Nemechek
with an
trying to hold on to it.
That's turn 4. He's going to have to come through, it looks like.
He had a lot of damage from that earlier incident.
Oh, the caution came out. No, sorry. Pit road is closed. Wasn't a caution. John Hunter Nemechek comes to pit road because there's an issue. Is that a flat right rear, you think, Phil?
That's what it looked like. Sure did.
Yeah, remember John Hunter Nemechek was involved in the big one at the beginning of the race. Suffered some damage. The pit lane is closed in the 2 laps before the end of a stage. So John Hunter Nemechek will have to go to the tail end when they come back.
Or it might be a pass-through. I'm not sure. Yeah. Get some confirmation from NASCAR, probably to the tail end of the pack.
Yeah, that's what we're hearing from NASCAR, that will be the penalty for John Hunter. We have 1 lap to go to the end of the stage. Let's see if he's able to stay on the lead lap. He's over in turn 2 right now. I think he has a good chance staying on the lead lap before that pack gets him, but they run 3 or 4 seconds a lap faster when they're together.
I think they're going to catch him.
You think they're going to catch him?
They're either going to catch him or wreck trying, it looks like. Christopher Bell moved up. See those trucks jockeying around? That's just a way to pull up and push, but it looks like.
And maybe keep some of your competitors behind you, because if you finish in the top 10, you get some championship points.
There's John Hunter. You see smoke trailing from that truck, but he's going to move well out of the way.
He must have gotten a little bit of a fender bender there late in that run. It wasn't smoking earlier.
Keep on digging. It's still green right now. Still green.
Stage 2 is complete.
You notice that flag, that green and white flag. That's a new flag here in NASCAR that signifies the end of the stage.
It's been a pretty good new format for Johnny Sauter so far. Stage 1, check. Stage 2, check.
100%.
What, a year ago, Phil, the most points you could get in a single race was 48. He's already got 20.
He's got 20 championship points, and he's got 2 playoff points.
Yeah. And there's still 40 points left for the winner.
It's Johnny Sauter's night at Daytona. Can he keep it rolling? Back at Daytona, yes, that's a green and white checkered flag signaling the end of a stage. End of stage 1 and stage 2. We'll see the green and white checkered. And Johnny Sauter's won each of the 2 stages so far, so it's been a pretty good night for that 21 team.
He says this is pretty simple.
Here was your top 10 of stage 2, and they all receive points for their position.
Sauter's got 20 points now and 2 playoff points. That's a good start to the season, right, Phil?
Yeah, we were talking during the break. He has more points at this stage in the race than anybody in the history of NASCAR has ever had.
Staying low on the track. I wonder if he'll run the apron. Probably a little bit concerned about the amount of fuel that's in that 21 truck.
Pit road will be open this time.
You run on the flat, and that keeps the fuel on the bottom of the fuel cell. The pickup is over on the right side because when you go around the corner, it throws the fuel over there. So the teams put the pickup over there. Now they're just going to run down on the flat to make sure they get all that precious fuel into the tank.
I mean, if those trucks were up on the racetrack right now, you could run out of fuel and really still have 2 or 3 gallons in the tank, but it would all run over to the left side, as you mentioned, Michael.
Those top 3 all have yet to pit tonight. So while others have at least come to pit road to visit at least one time, the top 3 and J.J. Yaley, or excuse me, Joe Nemechek, have yet to hit pit road, but they'll do so now. And Caitlin is there to greet them.
Yeah, Vince Scott Lagasse Jr. in that 24 truck at the top left of your screen approaching pit road, saying fighting a little bit tight, but the closer I get to the front, the better it does get. The crew chief Kevin Bellecourt has called for 4 tires. Looking to the right of your screen, Timothy Peters, he told his team, I'm a little bit tight on corner exit and free on entry. Crew chief Chad Kendrick called for 2 tires. Hermie.
The 21 of Johnny Sauter, all he asked for was a tear-off to be torn off his windshield, 4 tires and fuel. The 33 of Cascarilla, also 4 tires and fuel. In the 33, no adjustments.
Timothy Peters and Christopher Bell electing to go with just 2 tires. And how about that 98 of Grant Enfinger? Didn't take any tires. They all made big gains on pit road, Mike.
You know, I was going to ask Timothy Peters how they're going to break up that 4-truck breakaway of GMS. Well, his pit crew said, we know how to do it. Timothy Peters is Mike up in the FS1 booth. I was wondering how you're going to break up those GMS trucks. Well, your pit crew said, we got this, buddy.
Yeah, what a great stop by my Red Horse Racing team. Best on pit road, Mikey. So just a true testament to Red Horse and everyone at the shop here at the racetrack and building the 17 Tundra as well as the 7. So Chad's doing a good job on the box. I just need to finish it off.
Well, I know you know that there's going to be a lot of positions changed over the final stage of this race. How are you going to plan to get the win? What are you going to do to put yourself in a position to take the checker?
I'm going to drive out my rear view mirror, stay on the yellow line, and have the cars to fall. That's how they're going to fall. But definitely going to protect this lead for sure. And you're going to have to be aggressive to do that. So I know I had the truck to do it. Triad horsepower is awesome. So you never know, Mikey. This Tundra's strong.
Man, we really appreciate you taking a minute to talk to us. Thanks. Have fun this final stage.
10-4, bud.
2 stages complete. The final stage yet to come. It's been crazy already at Daytona. Can't wait for the finish. It's been an exciting night at Daytona, almost halfway through the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series season opener. Liberty Mutual spotter coverage. Let's get a better look at what happened on the track with the Liberty Mutual spotter coverage, and it didn't take long. Lap 1.
Contact from Chase Briscoe in the back of Noah Gregson, and away they go. And if the spotter didn't think they were going to earn their money tonight, what did it take to lap 1 to show that it was going to be a crazy night?
Yeah, and then spotters work overtime here at a place like Daytona.
And there's the spotters. That's where they stand, and that's where they do their work, and that's the view they have from high above to try to keep track of their driver in the middle of all that mess.
And they do help the drivers worry less, for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I wouldn't want to run here nowadays without a spotter.
Yeah, that first accident involved a dozen vehicles. 9 are off the track.
Chevys have dominated this race, guys, but now we have 3 Toyotas right up at the front of the pack. See if they can hold off those strong GMS Chevrolets.
That round of pit stop certainly jumbled up the running order, didn't it?
Well, it changed a lot of strategy too. 4 tires for some guys.
No tires for Grant Enfinger, 2 tires for Timothy and Christopher.
Talk along the garage area, Phil, was maybe we would never change left side tires during the course of this race.
Yeah, Johnny Sauter did change 4 tires, and he only went back to 4th, so probably not a bad call. He knows he's good to go to the end on lefts.
Pace truck is off. Timothy Peters inside. Christopher Bell outside.
Timothy Peters tight down on, or excuse me, up on Christopher Bell. But Johnny Sauter a good push.
That's Enfinger giving Peters that push on the 17, and as Michael mentioned, Johnny Sauter right there on the tail end of the 4 truck of Christopher Bell.
Well, we talked to Timothy Peters. He said, I'm going to protect the yellow line and block. He put about a half of a block on Christopher Bell there, went back to that yellow line. Looks like Bell's going to take the lead.
I think Christopher had such a big run with a push from Johnny Sauter. There wasn't a lot that Timothy could do there.
That tells you how powerful that 21 truck was. He just pushed the 4 right out ahead of Peters.
Now we have some Toyotas lined up on the inside. The 4 of Bell, the 17 of Peters, the 98 of Enfinger. All lined up.
You do remember this guy had all 4 tires off the ground, right?
Yeah, about 20 laps ago. Yeah.
Coming to the end of stage 1, it looked like he was going to go for another wild ride like he did a year ago. Kept all 4 of them, got all 4 tires back on the ground, right side up.
Which is better than he did a year ago.
Well, he had them back on the ground, but then off the ground, off the ground, on the ground, on the ground.
Single file, the first 3. That's Bell, Peters, and Enfinger. And then Kaz Gralla in the 33, Johnny Sauter in the 21. They're teammates.
27 of Ben Rose jumps in behind the 21 of Sauter, trying to make something happen on the outside.
Spencer Gallagher's getting a little bit aggressive, pushing Enfinger in the, or excuse me, Lagacy Jr. in the 24.
Lagacy with the good view of that 27 of Rhodes and the 51 of Myatt Snyder. Let's hear from Lagacy.
Get a run, you think the 23 will go with us?
I don't think the top lane can work, man. I don't think there's enough trucks out there to make it work. I just think that 3rd lane's dead dust right now.
It'd have to be a hell of a push in order to make the 3rd lane work right now. I mean, maybe late when everybody's shifting around, but everybody's just going to stay.
We've got a 2nd lane going pretty good right now.
Oh, they're pushing on the exit of the turn. That's not good.
Look at Johnny able to jump over in front of a bunch of Toyotas.
Wow.
In the lead.
Ben Rhodes able to gather that one up.
For a lap or 2, it looked pretty much like organized chaos, but it's falling apart again.
Johnny trying to do his best to block both lines. When he sees one with a little bit of momentum, he'll pull up in front of that line and then he'll jump back down in the other line.
Phil, when you leave those 31-degree bank corners, your truck is running against that bank. You've got a lot of stability. You can get a bit of a good push, you know, when you're in the banks, but when you come off the corner, when you've got the most momentum, you got to lay off because that's where the track flattens out, and the transition from the banks right there to the flat right there, your truck wants to be very loose. You can't push in that area.
Can you believe all the excitement we've had? We're just halfway. Plenty more to go. Johnny Sauter, who won the first 2 stages tonight, continues to lead the race.
He has a good pusher behind him, Grant Enfinger. Remember, they were teammates at GMS last year. Grant ran a limited schedule, but got to victory lane at Talladega.
Oh.
Check in on John Hunter Nemechek with Caitlin.
Well, Vince, he's dropped down through the field because he had a very long pit stop on that last stop. What happened was they had to fix a fender brace. They didn't have one, so the team actually had to make one. The way they did this, they screwed a brace to a bed top so it would stop the fender from flapping and rubbing the tire. But definitely tough break for John Hunter Nemechek. He's now in P20. Hermie?
Well, Caitlin, the 88 of Matt Crafton is in his 16th position. He is not in the lead draft. I kind of had the idea that maybe Matt would race this race a little bit more aggressively earlier in the race to try to get up front, have a better shot to win. But I just talked to his crew chief, Junior Joyner, and he said, we think they're going to wreck again. And the problem is the accordion effect. What's happening with wrecking, drivers are not getting slowed down quick enough, the rookie drivers especially, and the wrecks turn into bigger wrecks than they should be. So being that everybody has to pit at least one more time, they are comfortable where they are right now. They will wait until about 20 laps to go to try to make their way to the front.
Phil, did you see that power move by Ben Rhodes with the push from Lagasse Jr.? They went around Johnny Sauter, who's won both of the first two stages. That shows you how potent that 24 truck is. He got a hold to the back of the 27 there leading of Ben Rhodes and shoved him to the front.
And he has some damage on the front of that truck from that first lap incident. You know, we talk about Matt Crafton, and Hermie gave the report that he was going to lay back. We've had 2 stages. Johnny Sauter has 20 points already. You know how many points Matt Crafton has?
Not a one.
0. Did not finish in the top 10 in either stage.
And you know, we kind of heard some concern in Matt's voice yesterday during practice. Remember, he was arguing with Junior about how things looked out there and how he just needed to check his heights and get back to the garage area. He wasn't comfortable yesterday. I don't think he's comfortable tonight.
Have you seen anything that would make you comfortable?
I'm not comfortable. I know
I've
that.
not seen anything that would make me comfortable. Ben Rhodes leads the race. He's out front. But so far the night has been the best for Johnny Sauter. He won stage 1, backed it up with a win in stage 2. Past the halfway mark at Daytona in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything they learn making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR.
How about Johnny Sauter jumping up behind the 27 of Ben Rhodes to take over the second spot?
And Rhodes did what I wondered if some of these guys would start trying. He moved up in front of Sauter, blocked them, and they both dropped to the bottom. Ben Rhodes, instead of just dedicating himself to the yellow line, said, I'm moving around. I'm going to protect my lead.
Here comes Grant Enfinger trying to give it a look on the outside. Got a little help.
Another one of the Thor Sport trucks.
Is that a GMS truck behind him?
It is Spencer Gallagher.
Yeah. Because that's a pusher right there. I can promise you that.
There's Enfinger in that 98 and that 23.
Oh, that's a
Gallagher. I see some unstable vehicles right there in that mix.
That's a dangerous game, Lag, as he played there. You come up off the bottom, exiting the corner, and then try to crowd back in. Somebody will have their nose under you before you know it.
Ben Rhodes in the front. Johnny Sauter running second. Sauter has won the first 2 stages tonight.
Grant Enfinger, the Jive.com. Toyota for Thor Sport, the 98.
Check out
that outside line.
Check out this, something we haven't seen yet, Phil. You could see Ben Rhodes saw the big run Johnny Sauter had. Doesn't stay down on the bottom of the racetrack, keeps moving up, 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 up. I'm going to block what you're doing there, Johnny. And then they just fall to the bottom together. That was a risky move, but it was a veteran move. It was a move that you have to have a lot of confidence to make, and Ben Rhodes made it work.
We saw a lot of guys doing that last night, moving around last night, trying to get in front of the line that had some momentum, some energy.
Mentioned just a moment ago that Johnny Sauter won the first 2 stages tonight. You see on our leaderboard there, Sauter.
That was Spencer
Highlighted
Gallagher
in green in the 1 and 2, signaling that he did win the first 2 stages.
Bouncing around all over the place.
More on the 33 of our pole winner, Kaz Grala, with Hermie.
Tight racing, as you can tell, Vince. Kaz has come on the radio a couple times and asked his spotter to please relay to the spotter of the 51, which is Myatt Snyder, do not bump me through the travel, which is right where the trucks are going through right now. He said back straightaway is fine. but do not bump in the corners, and especially the tri-oval. And my question is to Michael Waltrip. Michael, what is it about that tri-oval that may be something that's making Kaz a little bit uncomfortable when he might be being pushed through that part of the racetrack?
Well, his wheels are cut slightly to the left, Hermie. He's making the turn through the tri-oval. There's not much banking there, and he's got his wheels turned. The wrong bump at that point in the track with those wheels slightly to the left could bring the rear end around to the right. So he's just doing a nice job. I think Kaz is driving way beyond his years, doing a nice job telling people around him what he needs them to do in order to be in a position to keep racing. You get the wrong bump, even if it's on the straightaway, on the back, you're going to go out of control. But the margin of error, Hermie, is just much tighter in the tri-oval.
Good look at that 51 of Myatt Snyder, and then on board with the 4 of Christopher Bell. But they're all chasing Ben Rhodes at Daytona. I think we're having fun now. Wait till Sunday. The biggest spectacle in NASCAR racing is on Fox. As Dale Earnhardt Jr. returns to the track, Jimmy Johnson begins his quest for number 8. Watch it, the Daytona 500 Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern, only on Fox.
Mikey, you're going to run your 30th. You're going to have a little bit of fun Sunday?
Yeah. I hope it doesn't look like this.
I was going to say, what have you learned tonight that's going to help you Sunday?
I've learned I'm nervous. I must be getting old, because I really think that these guys are going to wreck every lap, and they do a great job of not doing that. However, to back up my thoughts, they did wreck on lap 1, so it didn't take long for it to happen.
12 trucks are out of the race. We had that big one on lap 1, and then another much smaller incident coming to the end of the second stage.
Guys, remember, we're going to have another pit stop too.
And historically, we haven't been able to do that very smoothly. No. With this tight pack of trucks like they're running right now, dead on the bottom of the racetrack, that's where you have to exit to come to pit road. If there's not perfect communication between the spotters and these drivers, someone will get off the gas, inevitably get hit, and we'll see a crash trying to pit.
Yeah, we're only about 15 laps away, maybe 13, 15 laps away from these guys having to come to pit road.
This is when the spotter is key, talking to his driver and telling him to get those arms out the window. I want these guys to know you're coming to pit road.
7 different leaders tonight. Johnny Saunders led the most laps at 27. But look at some of the damage on the front end of those trucks.
But they've been doing a good job. That's Austin Wayne Self in the 32 and his teammate Jay Yaley in the 22. Look at all the damage on those trucks, and they're still right at the tail end of the lead draft there, running up in the top 20.
I think this is a great example that NASCAR's damage repair policy works. You know, these guys were able to get to pit road, get their trucks fixed well enough. They're hanging in the lead pack. If you can't get your truck fixed to hang in the lead pack, you're not going to get a good finish anyway.
And we've had a couple of trucks that were unable to be repaired sufficiently within the 5-minute clock, which is new to NASCAR this season, and they thusly were sent behind the wall and ended their night. Getting close to pit stops here with 33 to go.
There they go, and you see the chaos that it causes. Those guys did a great job of peeling up to the high side and letting the lead trucks come to pit road.
Guys, this is about 10 laps earlier than they have to come, and I think they wanted to avoid what you were talking about, Michael, having an incident. Hermie, what's going on with the 21?
Scheduled pit stop field for the 21. Joe Shear Jr. called Johnny Sauter off the racetrack. It'll be fuel only, no tires. He reminded Johnny to not slide the tires on pit entry. Also the 33 of Caswalla also on pit road for fuel only as well. Johnny Sauter down and away.
I love this strategy call. Not take a chance of pitting with everybody else. Come 10 laps early. I think nobody had any idea those guys were going to come to pit road. They were able to get off the racetrack and get down pit road cleanly.
And it still looked like they were going to wreck.
Yeah.
And what about the guy that's trying to take the lead, Christopher Bell, in that Ford truck? We thought his night was over, but he led that lap.
On board with Bell. Yes, he and Brett Moffitt tangled at the end of the first stage. Bell suffered minor damage, but all 4 tires were off the ground at one point during the incident. Brett Moffitt didn't come out so well. He had to go behind the wall. His night was over.
You could see how unstable those trucks were, leaving the bank turn onto the back straightaway. Look at who's charging up into the top 5 now. There's Matt Crafton.
So on those pit stops, the 23 of Spencer Gallagher and the 24 of Scott Lagasse, who were running third and fourth prior to those pit stops, were penalized for too fast entering pit road, or too fast exiting.
The problem is that's only going to leave 2 GMS trucks out there to try to stay in front of this big pack. Right now they have a pretty good lead on them. They're about 2/3 of the way down the backstretch, and you see the pack here coming off turn 2. That pack will be considerably faster, especially when those 2 GMS trucks have to come to pit road to serve a penalty.
And there was really no reason for those guys to speed on exit. They had their group together. They all did a nice job of not sliding their tires coming onto pit road. That was key. They got in their box smooth. The least important part was speeding on exit, and that's what they did. Oh, there it goes.
Contact between Peters and Bell. Can Bell gather it in? Definitely some contact. And the 5 of Corbin Forrester through the grass tears up the front end of that.
A lot of damage to Bell's truck. I don't know that he was trying to pit or not, Phil, but he got.
I don't think he was. I think he just had a little bit of help.
Got real low on the track.
Yeah.
That's where we talked about where you can't have any bumping. You're in the banks. You come to the flat of the exit of 4. So vulnerable right there.
Bell took multiple contacts and still somehow gathered it up. But you see significant damage to that Tundra.
The 2 GMS cars that were serving their trucks that were serving their penalty, Gallagher and Lagasse, are now being shown 1 lap down because of the penalties.
One of them.
Watch the replay here. The Timothy Peters in that white truck.
He got a little bit sideways, I think, Mikey.
Yeah, just loose. And Peters just does an amazing job of avoiding this accident. And then Corbin Forrester would just really know where to go.
Yeah. Look at all the damage the grass did to the 5 of Forrester's truck.
Right along with Christopher Bell. Second time he's had an issue in that spot tonight. While the 4 of Christopher Bell is under the 5-minute clock. Pit lane open. Regan Smith, Timothy Peters, Ben Rhodes, Matt Crafton, and others coming down for service.
A lot of 2-tire stops there. Saw Ben Rhodes do a nice job of very aggressively sliding his truck to a stop. I don't think, Phil, he slid his tires far enough to hurt anything, but he did a nice job of powering it in there to get all he could get.
See all the damage on Christopher Bell's truck. Chase Briscoe actually won that battle off of pit road in his Brad Keselowski truck. A lot of damage to that Ford truck.
The second time Bell has been on pit road tonight under that new 5-minute clock.
Well, he's getting ready to be off of it because there's smoke from that truck. I just don't see them being able to finish the work needed there in order to meet minimum speed or without blowing out a tire because of that smoke. Let's take a look again. Remember how difficult I said it was exiting turn 4? You can see he's down on the bottom, a truck right on his right rear quarter right there. It just spins him loose.
Yeah, just turns him loose. Timothy was right on him. I'm not even sure Timothy made any contact, but can you believe the job that Timothy did to avoid being in that incident? And also Scott Lagasse for giving him room to get in because he had to have some room.
Yeah, I don't think Peters was the cause of Bell. That's for sure.
Not at all.
I mean,
not at all.
I think he just, if he touched him at all, was because Bell had gotten loose and out of control.
That's exactly right. It was really predicated by the 27 of Ben Rhodes side drafting so tight, as you mentioned, that transition, Mikey, when you come from the banking on exit of 4 to the flat of the racetrack.
It's going to be a nail biter right down to the finish. Late stages at Daytona. Daytona, 25 laps to go in the season opener for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Johnny Sauter, who won the first 2 stages of this race, out front again. He's led the most laps tonight. Updates from pit road. Let's begin with Caitlin.
Well, Vince, we'll start with the 92 truck of Regan Smith. He said, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm a little tight, but that is good. I saw what a loose truck does like it did to that Ford truck. So he said, go ahead and leave it alone. They did 4 tires for their stop, but he did lose 5 spots on pit road. And now Timothy Peters in that 17 truck. He told his team, it seems like it's packing air. I can't get to guys' bumpers. I didn't have that problem yesterday. They elected to do 0 tires on that stop. Hermie?
27 of Ben Rhodes having a silent night. Really liked their truck. He's been mid-pack, been up front. He liked his truck, but he did put 2 right side tires on the 27. The 88 of Matt Crafton was also on pit road. His truck was a little bit too tight. They took some wedge out of the 88, but no tires on that truck.
Thank you, Hermie. And Caitlin, good look at the 29 of Chase Briscoe running 3rd, the highest runner from the Ford camp so far tonight. Let's take a look at our Ford performance track facts. Former Ford winners here at Daytona.
Mike Wallace won that first one back in 2000. Rick Crawford, a 3-wide battle at the finish to win in 2003.
Martin dominated in 06, and one of the few rookies, kids that showed up and got a win at Daytona, and that was Tyler Reddick.
Chase Briscoe right there in position to maybe add his name to that list tonight.
Guys, remember we saw the GMS trucks come to pit road about 10 laps earlier than they had to, and what that did, they parlayed that into a 1-2 running order right now. They would be 1, 2, 3, 4 if the other 2 GMS trucks hadn't have sped on pit road. It would have worked perfectly. I talked to the crew chief, Joe Shear, early this morning. I said, what is your plan? How are you going to? He said, I know what I'm going to do, and I'm not telling anybody. He would not tell me, but that's probably what he had in mind right then when he wouldn't tell me. As Christopher Bell's crew continues to do work on that truck.
They got to be really close on their time limit. I don't know that they can get up to speed without a right front fender. You saw there wasn't anything up there. Now, if he can catch up to the draft, there's a chance he can hang there.
Yeah, about 59.78 right now is minimum speed, and that's a calculation off practice speeds and stuff like that, qualifying speeds. So
about 150 miles
an hour, right? Yeah, you see that damage to that truck, and it's amazing how fast those things will run with that much damage. So I think he may be okay. And once he reaches that minimum speed, then the clock goes off. And he could come back in the pits and start working on it again once he reaches minimum speed.
Getting a report that just under 5 minutes, like 4:45, he spent on pit road. So that's a great job by that team, managing their time, managing the clock. Now he's going to catch up to the back of the pack and try to hang with it.
Let's listen in on the 21 of Johnny Sauter.
Just don't know if feeding both lanes going to work, Tab. You know what I mean? I think they just get such a run.
Yeah, I know. And I don't want to get up there counting on the run to come to you because there's always enough room to split you, and then you're double. So, yeah.
Play it by ear, you know.
He's talking about exactly what we saw Ben Rhodes do. Move up to the top side, move down to the bottom. Johnny Sauter doesn't think that'll work.
Sauter's the control vehicle on this restart from the outside. Kaz Gralla, his teammate, inside.
We talk about youth versus experience. There's Johnny out there completely surrounded by a bunch of youth, other than that 17 of Timothy Peters, who now jumps up on the back of Gralla. I'm sorry, on the back of Ben Rhodes.
Sauter wasted no time getting down there in front of his teammate, did he?
And while we've seen using both lanes and blocking in the Cup Series work, the reason why these truckers don't think it'll work is because of that big spoiler and that big cab. They put such a big hole in the air. You start moving around, the trucks behind them get so much draft and so much momentum. He doesn't think you could move from one lane to the other in a timely fashion.
He has some help right now from his teammate Kaz Gralla in that 33, and they'd be able to stay hooked up and not have to do that if they can maybe keep that 29er Chase Briscoe with them.
Hey, look at Matt Crafton finally getting up into the mix, right? He's been riding around toward the back most of the night.
Just outside of 20 laps to go, guys. It's time to get up there.
It's another veteran there. I'm going to tell you something else to watch closely. Gralla, without the experience, he's peeking up off the bottom of the racetrack a little bit more than I'm comfortable with. Watch him on exit, especially off of turn 4. He seems to be a little bit wider than I would like him. He needs to tuck right on that yellow line and stay right behind his teammate.
Johnny Sauter and Todd Bodine, the only 2 drivers ever to win twice in the truck here at Daytona. Sauter trying to win his 3rd. Out front, he's led the most laps. Won the first 2 stages of the race. First ever NASCAR race with stages, and Sauter put his name in the record books by winning both. Trying to finish the job with a race win to go along with it. On board with Scott Lagasse in that 24 truck. That's Spencer Gallagher in front of him in the blue and white 23. Grant Enfinger in the 98. There's Christopher Bell. They did get out and get to a minimum speed before that 5-minute clock expired.
Not only did he get to minimum speed, Vince, he's in the lead pack. That team has done a great job of repairing this vehicle. Uh-oh. Did you hear him get out of the gas there? It looked like the hole was going to close up.
Scott Lagasse was able to be between the leaders. And when they came to pit road, he was on the tail end of the lead lap, so he was able to go around. He is back on the lead lap. John Hunter Nemechek was the free pass recipient. He's back on the lead lap.
20 to go. Presented by Camping World.
That's John Hunter Nemechek right there in front of Christopher Bell. Look at all the damage and the repairs done to that 8 truck.
32, Austin Wayne Self, he's in the pack.
Regan Smith, we haven't talked a great deal about him other than the fact that he knows what he's doing on this type of racetrack, and there he is in contention for a great finish.
Sauter, Gralla, Briscoe, Crafton, Peters in that single file line at the front of this pack.
Whoa. See, that's what I mean by wandering up off the bottom on the corner, because when you do that, Phil, you want to get your way back to the left. And so that means you've got a lot of wheel input into a truck, and then it's extra touchy if someone gets near you.
It's Spencer Gallagher in that blue and white 23. J.J. Yaley in the red and white 22 with all that tape on the front. He's still hanging in there.
Yeah, he's giving that truck a whale of a ride.
Here comes a couple of GMS trucks, 23 and 24.
Remember Gallagher, the 23, 1 lap down.
He's currently in a position to get the free pass.
There's Yaley, along with the 83 of Todd Peck. 83 of Todd Peck is 1 lap down, along with Spencer Gallagher.
Great job by Myatt Snyder. He's been able to hang in there, learn a lot tonight.
Now, Snyder's dodged damage a couple of different times through our incidents tonight and still been able to keep it rolling forward.
He's dodged major damage.
Yeah, even if we got up there, he's going to have to work harder than I think he's ready to do it yet. He's not ready to get in the doors that tight and stuff yet. 3 to go, maybe we'll try something, but we ride right there. Yeah, if the seas part with 3 to go, 2 to go or something, I'll take a shot at it, but we're going to play the game right here. 10-4, my friend.
And that's crew chief and spotter strategizing over what this is going to look like. But if I'm the spotter for Kaz Gralla, I'm going to remind him, keep that 33 truck right next to the yellow line. Don't fade up off the line in the corners. It can get you in trouble. We'll see if he's able to keep that truck heading in the right direction if he doesn't do that.
In the situation that Kaz is in right now, furthermore, I would tell him, stick right on the rear tailgate of your teammate Johnny Sauter. You come off turn 4, you enter the tri-oval. If you think you have a run and you can do it safely, maybe pull out and try to pass then, but let's get to the end first.
Now, is this Christopher Bell trying to push his way to the front in this Ford truck that he's had off the ground backwards into the wall?
On the 5-minute clock twice.
Boy, if that truck ever doesn't sniff a draft, though, Phil, he'll drop like a bag of rocks, won't he?
Well, he sure will. You see John Hunter Nemechek with a lot of damage to his truck. He's got his dad, Joe, behind him. They get lined up now. They may be able to catch this front pack here. There's a little bit of a gap, about 6-8 truck lengths behind Regan Smith.
Bell and Self in that 44 and 32.
You see that truck gets out there in the air. When it hits the air, it just stalls out.
Here comes help. Buddy, my truck isn't in much better shape than yours, but I'd like to give you a push, and it's going to work. You can see Bell is going to clear the 32 truck, but he's going to stay outside and help his teammate. These are going to be the longest 16 laps of Kaz Gralla's life, I can promise you that. Johnny Sauter's been there, done that. He knows He's just playing the game, being patient, understanding there's going to be a mess coming. Kaz Grala doesn't really know what's coming.
Well, how about Grala there, the second truck, and Chase Briscoe, the third truck in line? It's Grala's, what, how many races has he run? A handful. And Chase Briscoe, this is his first truck race ever, squeezed between the veterans, Johnny Sauter and Matt Crafton. That's the Truck Series in a nutshell, right?
They basically run the least, and the two that are around have run the most.
And I would love to see these guys just stay like this till we get down towards the end. But you know they're not going to wait till the last lap, because you've got guys running 6th, 8th. They say, we can't win this race from 6th or 8th. We're going to have to move up and make it happen earlier.
Timothy Peters hanging around as well, running 5th. Caitlin?
Yeah, Vince, and we talked earlier about some of the new driver crew chief pairings this season. One of them is Timothy Peters and Chad Kendrick, but not the first time they have worked together. Actually, Chad worked at Red Horse Racing in 2009, helped guide Timothy to his very first career win in the Truck Series as a crew chief. So Chad told me earlier, the learning curve not very significant for these two. And right now, he's been holding down a 5th spot here on track, guys.
Kaz Grala, the youngest driver in the field, won the pole earlier this afternoon, currently sits 2nd.
You don't come off that bottom until I tell you, and if I tell you. Behind the 29, what's going to happen eventually is the 88 is going to put a fender on that 29 behind you, and that's when the top's going to move. The 98's the most aggressive car. He's 3 back at the 88.
That's Eddie DeHunt. He's been here before.
Don't you move off that bottom unless I tell you. And that sounded, he said that in a way I might have just stayed on the bottom. I think he was very...
It wasn't a suggestion, I don't think.
I think he was very positive that that's what Kaz Grala needs to do. You can see right there, he's a half a truck high. Don't like that.
Eventually, that 29, if he gets wide enough, that 29 is going to put his nose in that hole there.
Well, and not only that, Phil, the 29's gonna have a run. He's gonna, because there's 2 truck he'll be pulling off of, the 21 on the bottom, the 33 slightly up. It gives momentum to the 3rd truck, the 29, and he can put a bumper to the back of the 33. And the 33 will be trying to turn hard to the left to get back to the bottom, and around he'll go.
More on Chase Briscoe and that 29 with Hermie.
Vince, we got to give a call out to Chase and this 29 team. Got himself into a little bit of trouble early on tonight. Made some contact and caused a big wreck, or was a part of a big wreck. But give him a lot of credit for coming back and getting himself in this position. First ever start in this series. New crew chief as well, Mike Hillman Jr. A lot of experience. Race-winning crew chief right now, and they are guiding him. They have told him to stay on that yellow line. I'm anxious to see if the 33 continues to leave that door open on the bottom. Will Chase make that move? Because they have instructed him time after time, stay on that yellow line and do not leave it.
That's Chase Briscoe, the direction that he's receiving in his first ever Truck Series race.
Yeah, we're hearing some noise, though, that maybe Matt Crafton and the 88, Timothy Peters in the 17 are formulating a plan, maybe with about 10 to go, to try to jump to the outside. Maybe they'll have a little bit of help from Ben Rhodes and try to make something happen here.
There's about 10 to go, Phil.
We're getting close, I know.
But I just don't think you go that early. I don't think you wait till 2 to go, but I'd get it on down there, maybe 3 to 5, and maybe try it then.
But you wouldn't be surprised at all that the veterans would jump out and try to take advantage of those young, inexperienced drivers.
Exactly.
And when they do it, watch for the 88 of Crafton to put his left front right on the side of that 29 truck of Chase Briscoe, really slowing his momentum, something that Briscoe's probably only felt a couple of times tonight.
If Crafton in that 88 goes and Peters in the 17, does Ben Rhodes jump in there and go with it and make it 3?
I think you got to. You can't win from where Ben Rhodes is now, so you got to make something happen.
Or if it looks like their momentum stalls out on the top, just close a hole on the bottom and move up and grab those couple spots on the bottom. Get a little bit closer to the front. Got a gap now. We have a gap. Ben Rhodes has lost about 6 truck lengths.
See if someone comes straight to his bumper, because if they do, that 6 truck length deficit will be gone by the time they get to turn 3.
It's gone now, Mikey. It's gone now. Is he going to pull out?
You think maybe that was a ploy by Rhodes? We saw him be really...
A little bit of a test, maybe?
Yeah, fall off that lead truck, see how fast he can close the ground. You saw him get 6 truck lengths in 1 straightaway.
Coming to the line, 9 laps remain at Daytona.
My heart rate monitor's going crazy. This is just it's a storm brewing.
This is a situation if Crafton and Peters are formulating a plan, their spotters will be standing together on the roof.
We had the big one on lap 1 and another incident at the tail end of stage 1, and now we're coming to the final laps.
The only two guys that I know for sure what I would do if I were them is the 21 and the 33.
Yeah.
The Sauter wide open on the bottom. The 33 of Gralla, just push him all the way to there. The exit of turn 4 on the last lap. Don't do anything different until then. Everybody else, all bets are off.
And if you're Gralla, where do you make that move though if you want to go for the win, Mike?
Exiting 4. You hope someone's behind you. Sauter will guard the bottom, flare up to the outside, exiting that corner, and try to get around him. I saw that move work one night.
Yeah, and you got to remember that Gralla really doesn't want to, doesn't want his teammate, a GMS truck, not to win. He doesn't want to cost his teammate a win if he's not going to get it.
Yeah, and great point, Phil, because those are teammates there at the front, Johnny Sauter and Kaz Gralla.
But you know, it's hard to. We're at Daytona. Kaz Gralla is 18 years old. He can taste a trophy. It's that close. Let's not think that maybe he's going to listen to his spotter and listen to his team. It'll be very mature of that young man if he does.
Remember, GMS finished 1-2 at Talladega last year with Grant Enfinger and Spencer Gallagher.
I think GMS has quickly proven that they are one of the premier teams in this truck series. We're going to see them run and finish at the front on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah, without a doubt, they really came in their own last year.
And let me remind you, they have new power plants under the hoods of those trucks. They got Hendrick engines. And I want to tell you guys something else. Right now, guys could be pulling out. They are choosing to ride in line, logging laps, getting down to 2, 3, whenever they decide is the right time to make that move. Because of all that energy back there, they could be making those moves now. They're not doing it on purpose.
Remember, the 17 truck has a little bit of damage from an earlier incident. So I wonder if Matt Crafton says, well, if I pull out, can Timothy really help me enough with that damage to his truck? He can hang with me really well right now, especially with somebody behind pushing Timothy.
And if I'm Matt Crafton with my experience and Timothy Peters behind me.
Oh, John Hunter Nemechek is around.
No caution yet. There's the caution.
And the caution is out. You see all the damage that Nemechek has suffered throughout the course of the night already.
Well, here's the big question. We've seen teammates work together all night long. The leader of the race take the outside. The guy in second, let him in when they throw the green. There's only going to be a couple of laps to go. Does Johnny Sauter say, okay, Kaz Gralla, I'm going to let you have that inside line, but I'm going to take the outside. You have to let me in. Does he trust that he gets let in?
There's John Hunter. Just gets a little bit loose coming off the corner. It gets away from him. His dad, Joe, did an amazing job to avoid him.
And that's right there where we talked about. Exiting the corner from the bank to the flat right there, loose.
Just when it flattens out, that rear goes around, keeps it out of the outside wall. But remember, though, we had a restart early in the race when GMS did that. But Christopher Bell from the outside got such a good push, they got it in between GMS trucks.
It's the third time that John Hunter Nemechek has gone around today. Didn't actually hit anything on that particular spin. Was running 12th at the time. Watch it from the onboard of the 4 of Christopher Bell. That's Nemechek just ahead in that black and yellow number 8.
That's what you call loose off. You call your crew chief and say, I think I'm a little loose off. That's next. Nemechek will get service on that 8 truck.
The 23 of Spencer Gallagher, by the way, gets the free pass.
It puts all the GMS trucks back on the lead lap. Phil, when I won here back in 11, I had that same choice with just a couple of laps to go. I think we went
quick on the trigger finger with the fireworks.
Did you cue the fireworks?
We're a little early there.
We may be a long way from needing the fireworks.
But my point was going to be, I chose to start on the inside. I was running second, and I talked to Elliott Sadler, who was leading. I said, you take the outside, I'll let you in. I thought that that was the best way I could win the race. Giving up the lead, giving up that inside spot. or taking that inside spot and giving up the lead. Be interesting to see how these teammates play it.
We talked about Timothy Peters, a former winner here at Daytona, being in good position running in the top 5. What are they talking about, Caitlin?
Well, right now they're talking about a brace that's loose, that's holding some body work on that left-hand side. Timothy just expressing a little bit of concerns about that. As crew chief Chad Kendrick said, well, you're just going to have to make it up in the driver's seat. We're going to be starting on the inside, on the bottom. Do all you can here.
Coming back for the finish at Daytona, the final laps. Don't go anywhere. Who's going to win it?
Next is the crew chief for Kaz Grala. What's the instructions on the restart, and how aggressive will he be to try to win this race?
Well, we just need to keep working with our teammate. You know, kid's never done this before, so he's doing a good job trying to stay in line. Eddie's doing a great job spotting, and we just want to run all the laps, you know. So one more thing real quick. I just want to give a shout out to Jeff. We're thinking about you.
Jerry Baxter.
Well, he did it, Phil, just like I talked about. He gave up the inside. Johnny Sauter will now pull over in front of Grala, but remember, Grala's got to have the restart of his life.
Because Matt Crafton wants to go with Johnny Sauter.
That's right. Matt Crafton's going to be pushing hard. Grala's got to go hard enough to be able to get right behind Sauter, but not so hard that Sauter can't get over.
Coming to the green and 2 laps to go. Johnny Sauter on the outside, Kaz Grala inside. Sauter drops down in front of Grala, and here comes Matt Crafton on the outside with help from Ben Rhodes.
They got a good push on the outside. Crafton's even with Grala.
This is when Grala's really got to watch out. Side drafting from Crafton is something that he's never felt before. Nice job by Sauter. He goes up high to block. He gets in the high groove in front of Crafton. Great move.
He had to give up on his teammate right there. Look at Timothy Peters on the inside.
Matt Crafton challenging for the lead on the outside. Crafton, the 2-time series champion, has never won here at Daytona.
He has a teammate behind him. That's Ben Rhodes. 2 teammates behind him.
He's only
Make it 3 teammates behind him.
16 tries, only 1 top 5 finish for our champion, Matt Crafton. Can he hang on? He's got a big lead.
Don't get out too far.
The final lap, Crafton in the 88 in front.
Johnny Sauter
inside, it's 3 wide.
Making that hole.
Forced his way to the middle.
Middle of 3. You're middle of 3. Come on, 13. You got a guy coming to you. Not over. Keep digging.
They're crashing. Rhodes into Crafton.
Keep digging. Damn.
Crafton up and over.
And Kaz Grala looks to me like will win this race.
Huge crash at the end on the final lap. And Kaz Grala, the youngest driver in the field, the youngest driver to win a pole award in NASCAR's Touring Series history.
We'll have to wait and see NASCAR, but he sure looked like he was the one that emerged with a lead.
The first across the finish line under the checkers and the yellow flag.
Austin Wayne Self trailed Grala across the start-finish line. That team's confident about what they've accomplished. We'll get the official moment of caution from NASCAR.
Yeah, amazing job, regardless, for Jerry Baxter, Kaz Grala, and that GMS team.
Well, and Grala dropped back to the back part of the top 5 on that restart, but patiently stayed in line, was off the track down in turn 3, was able to keep his truck headed straight.
Good to see Matt Crafton out of the vehicle.
Vince, you're right. Great to see him out. It was a heck of a ride for Matt.
Up in the air and upside down. And just to reiterate, there's Timothy Peters walking to the ambulance. Mandatory trip to the care center. And it's official. Kaz Grala is the winner, the youngest driver to win at Daytona in NASCAR National Touring Series history. Kaz Grala, 18 years old, wins the season opener.
That's awesome. What a great young man.
Great family.
Had the pleasure of getting to know Kaz and his father, Darius. And like I said, a lot of fathers and sons go off to the golf course. Those 2 go off racing. He raced here in Daytona.
See Johnny Sauter getting in the ambulance. Good to see Johnny. There's some hard hits back there on the backstretch, guys.
Grala looking forward to getting that checkered flag, and he's going to, maybe not the way he envisioned getting his first win with the big crash going on behind him, but he will celebrate it with his team.
I like
Crew Chief Jerry Baxter.
I like a little bit of smoked salmon with my olive oil. He's smoking them up there, isn't he?
We talked about youth versus experience. Experience always seems to win out here. Not tonight, guys.
No one younger has ever done what Kaz Grala just accomplished.
There's Grant Enfinger climbing in to the ambulance.
NASCAR obviously has a lot of sorting out to do before we know the official finish. Let's look back and see. No surprise to me that exiting the corners when the trouble happened. It just was a very aggressive push.
Yeah, it looked like Grant Enfinger was trying to help. Ooh, look at Matt Crafton up and over.
There's Johnny Sauter up in the middle of the mess. Grant Enfinger was pushing right there when the track flattens out.
Yep.
Around goes the 27, catches Crafton, who thought he was home free.
Exactly in that spot where you said you didn't want to be pushed, where the track changes a little bit of that elevation.
It's nearly impossible to do it cleanly, and this is just way too much right here. Enfinger would have been much better off just to tap his partner, tap his buddy past Crafton, but he got too aggressive. It's the last lap, you understand that. But look at the impact by Timothy Peters. And look at Grala just sneaking through that hole.
Right through the middle. And how about Austin Wayne Self right behind him? Chase Briscoe as well as Crafton goes up and over. Wow.
30-some hundred pounds of race vehicle just floating around like a feather. That tells you how fast these guys are going and how crazy things get at the end. He's still not on the ground.
Watch it all from the 24 of Scott Lagasse.
Leap bump it, stacking, stacking, stacking. Keep rolling outside, bottom three, close the door on the bottom. Get down, get down. A-truck, watch it spin, keep rolling, watch it spin, get through it.
How crazy was that view of Crafton over there? We're gonna see that again. Now look, he comes out.
Work back all the way back. Still three with help. Still three with help. Reckon. Hang on to
Timothy
it there.
never even had time to back off, guys.
Now from Christopher Bell.
Three mid. Easy, come middle. Keep coming middle. Keep coming middle.
That looks straight out of the movies.
Yeah,
I mean, you couldn't believe that truck could fly over like that.
Just amazing pictures.
Awesome camera work, guys. This is beautiful. I mean, it's terrible, but it's
Scott Lagasse. Watch Matt Crafton over there. Completely up in the air.
Unbelievable. So thankful that everybody's okay.
We saw Crafton in that truck, the yellow 88, walk away from this mess.
Look at it land on the 21 of Johnny Sauter.
Scott Lagasse.
There's Myatt Snyder, the 51.
You see Lagasse, he's one of the first trucks to clear, so he's going to get a decent finish out of this. Be interesting to see how NASCAR scores them after that big mess on the back.
Some of them on the hook. This one's on the truck as the winner, Kaz Grala at Daytona. Back at Daytona, if you tuned in looking for college hoops, well, it's coming up next. Pac-12 college basketball, the showdown between Oregon State and Cal, all coming up after the race right here on FS1. What an unbelievable finish tonight. In fact, it was an unbelievable start and an unbelievable finish. Hermes in victory lane with tonight's winner, Kaz Grala.
Here he is, Vince, victory lane at Daytona. You take the scenic tour to get to victory lane. You're celebrating all over the property. 18 years old, you're in victory lane at Daytona. How did you win this race?
Oh, I wish you could tell me. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing out there. I don't know how to do a donut. I don't know how to do a victory lap like that. I just know I'm Polish, so I figured I should drive backwards. That was freaking awesome. I can't believe we won Daytona. This completely changes our season and the way that we can play it. This is huge for our organization and for myself, for Jerry, for GMS, Kiklos. I mean, oh my God, I can't even believe this.
How about your emotions on those final couple laps? The restart, then you fall back, and you barely worked your way through that wreck.
My radio cord came out on lap 79, so I drove almost to the end of the race with no radio. Oh my God, someone flipped. I drove almost the rest of the race without a radio on, and barely for the green-white checkered I got a radio on. And honestly, I got lucky coming out of 2 there. I just didn't lift, and luckily everything went crazy around me. Hope everybody's all right there, but oh, I'm so happy with the way that played out. I can't even believe it.
And you mentioned this changes your season. How?
Well, I mean, we can do a lot of R&D here going forward. I mean, I've never been on a 1.5 miles in my life, so I'm looking forward to not having the pressure to win. Of course, we'd like to get more wins, as many as we can, and especially to lock ourselves in for sure. We'd like another one, but right now, I mean, there's no better way to start the season. On the pole, won the race. You can't have a better day than we had here in Daytona. I'm so happy.
Well, Kaz Grala, he is a rookie, but it does not matter. He's in victory lane at Daytona.
Thank you.
Great stuff, Hermie.
Don't you just love that young enthusiasm? I mean, Daytona would do that to me, and I'm old.
He said, I don't know how to do donuts.
How about the average age of that top 3? 20 years old.
Wow, how about Austin Winsup? What a great job that young man did with a lot of damage in his truck.
About a night for the Nemecheks, 4th and 5th, John Hunter and Joe.
Yeah, but Joe really messes up that top 5 average age thing.
So thankful to see Matt Crafton and Johnny Sauter, Timothy Peters all walk away from those trucks under their own power after that unbelievable incident. Caitlin's with Johnny Sauter.
Yeah, Vince, he's just been released from the medical center. Johnny, walk me through what you experienced from your perspective.
Well, you know, when it's calm like that the whole race, you don't really know what to expect at the end. And, you know, I was watching on that restart, and 88 was getting, you know, he was laying way back, and I, you know, probably more than I thought was allowed, but regardless of that, you know, we tried to play the team strategy like we had been doing all night long, and I looked down in my mirror when I pulled to the bottom, and my teammate was way back, and I was like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble here. And the outside line, it looked like they were hooked together and had a hell of a run coming, and so needless to say, I went up to block the 88, and not really sure. I thought once I went up to block them that I would unlatch those two and you know, get back to the bottom, and I screwed up, so I got to go back and watch, see what I could have done different, obviously. But what a dominant truck. You know, I can't thank everybody at Allegiant enough, and everybody at GMS, Hendrick Motors, Chevrolet. Man, what a great truck. It just, there's probably some things I could have did different, and I'll study it.
Thank you, Johnny.
Well, that's
Johnny
what these
Sauter
these
led
racers,
the most laps 3 times and ends up 15th.
They just constantly watch tape and see what they could have done differently. I think it's unfair for Johnny to say he made a mistake until he watches the video.
Yeah.
There might have been nothing that he could do, but he's certainly willing and wants to learn from whatever happened. I know when he made that move to the top to block the run that Crafton had, that was the right move to make.
And the good news, Crafton and Timothy Peters also released from the medical center. College basketball coming up next. Oregon State and Cal right here on FS1. But tip the cap to the 18-year-old kid, Kaz Grala, the youngest winner ever at Daytona. For Michael Waltrip and Phil Parsons, I'm Vince Welch. So long from Daytona.